Hello there, everybody, and welcome back. We are going to be doing another Top 5 Tuesday today. The plan for today is we're going to do another movie ranking. Obviously, I'm always actively watching a lot of different horror movies, so I kind of like to give you guys my opinion on what they are. So, got another new 5 movies that I have recently watched on this list here, so let's go ahead and go over it. But first, before we get into the movie, I'd like to welcome you all back to Cody's Horror Channel. I am your host, as always, Cody. If you guys do like the content that you see on my page, please like, share, comment, subscribe to the videos. It does wonders for me. I am on TikTok, I am on Facebook, and I am on YouTube. So please go ahead and like all my socials and follow and comment away. I love to hear from you guys. So without further ado, let's get back to the video. All right, so coming in at the 5 spot is a movie that I saw a lot of people talking about online. I have recently seen it pop up again as a hidden gem on Tubi. I don't think it was a very good movie. I'm not quite sure what it is necessarily that people saw in this movie. I am a big fan of any kind of exorcism movie, Exorcist, any kind of supernatural horror is a very big genre within horror that I very much enjoy. And this one falls into that category, but I just don't think it was that enjoyable of a watch, and that was Godless. So this is kind of an interesting take on basically having a lady who is possessed and then the preacher coming and trying to get this demon out of her and failing. And basically he fails at it and kills her and then goes to prison for what happened. If I remember, I believe this was based on true events, which always makes it somewhat more interesting, but I just think this movie lacked something. I don't know. I mean, the creature was cool looking. The demon in this movie, he was neat, as you can see here. But I don't know. I just didn't find this that fun, that exciting. Some of the stuff they did with the girl was kind of creepy, but I don't know. I expected a little bit more of a creepy factor to it. So I gave this movie a 3 out of 10. I think it was kind of a dud. I mean, obviously, always watch them for yourself, kind of interpret it yourself, but to me, this just missed the mark. Okay, so coming in at the 4th spot, I might put my hand the right way, is another movie that I heard a ton of buzz on online, and I was absolutely excited to watch this movie. Loved the idea, loved the premise of this movie, was super excited to see how this was, and to me, once again, I was let down. I don't think this movie is as good as people give it credit for, and I think the reason people like this movie as much as they do is because of the character that you follow throughout the movie. And that movie is called Good Boy. So the idea of a horror movie through the eyes of a dog is a cool idea. You see the way he interacts with his owner, the house is haunted, and you can kind of slowly start to see his owner get possessed and all the different things that go on with him, with the demonic stuff going on in the house and trying to save him and yada, yada, yada. And I think it's a good movie. Like, a good movie idea. I don't know. It didn't hit. Like, it was one of those things that I thought the idea was there. It was cool. It was going to be fun watching it from the dog's perspective, seeing it from some other way. I just don't know. It wasn't that fun. I thought it'd be cooler. I'm an animal lover, so I thought this was going to be fun. If I remember right, I think the film was really short. And it just was, I don't know, too unclimactic for me. But I guess, I don't know how much you can do with a dog being your main actor in the movie. But I don't know. I gave it a 5 out of 10. I expected more. I guess I shouldn't have. But like, I was definitely let down by this movie. And it was nowhere near as fun of an experience as I thought. So coming in at my 3 spot is a movie that it's pretty cool because it's a Halloween-based movie. I am a massive Halloween fan, not the franchise. I am a fan of the franchise as well, but I mean the season itself. Spooky season, trick-or-treating, all that kind of fun stuff. So anything when it has to do with Halloween, haunted houses, all those kind of things, I am all for. So the movie that came in my number 3 spot is Haunt. So this, I feel like, is, or at least was, a little bit under the radar as a movie. Not a lot of people have either seen it or have talked about it. I feel like over the maybe last year, 6 months, something like that, it's kind of caught a little bit more steam, but definitely one of the movies that I don't think a lot of people have seen or talk about. You do find a little bit of merch on there, which is pretty exciting, but overall, this is one that if you've not ever watched this movie, definitely watch it. It's about these kids who go to a haunted house, which Also makes me excited. They're in Carbondale, Illinois, and that's where I went to college. So I'm an SIUC grad. So go Salukis. So it takes place down there. They go to a haunted house because they want to kind of go off the beaten path and do something extreme on Halloween. Little do they know that they go into a haunted house that actually kills and attacks people, and they have to fight their way through and so on and so forth. So if that's your style of movie, it's a little bit of human torture, a little bit of spookiness, cool masks, cool, creepy people. The whole eerie vibe is there. It's a very good watch, and I actually gave it a 7 out of 10. So pretty high score. Like I said, just a really good, fun watch. So coming in at my number 2 spot is a movie that a lot of people have talked very highly about, and I completely understand why. This was really fighting for my number 1 spot, but there's one thing on my number 1 when I get to it that gives it the edge over it to me. But like I talked about, my number 2 spot is Frankenstein. So this new Netflix original Frankenstein I thought was amazing. The set was awesome. The acting was awesome. The Frankenstein's monster was really cool. The dynamic between Dr. Frankenstein and his monster was really, really good. If I remember, it was a little bit of a longer movie, but you don't notice that. Like, it is just an enjoyable watch. Just the way they shoot everything. You get the feeling from the monster, the feeling from Victor. You just get all of these emotions put together in this really good movie. And just everything about this is amazing. I haven't really heard anybody talk poorly about this movie, and I 100% understand why. If you are a fan of Frankenstein or the idea of Frankenstein, I do like that the beginning of it does play a lot to the book itself, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot of relations with that, and you dive into the stories and you get to understand the characters, and it's just a good ride from beginning to end. So if you've not checked out the new Frankenstein on Netflix, I definitely say you should. So, sorry, I didn't realize I didn't grade that last movie. So I gave Frankenstein about a 7.5. Really close to an 8. I would get it close to that 8 mark. It was just, like I said, a really good movie. So coming in at my number 1 spot, this one I'm actually ranking the same as I ranked Frankenstein, so about an 8. The only reason I am putting this one above the Frankenstein is it is one of my favorite groupings of horror, I guess you should say, and it has to do with clowns. I absolutely love clowns. Any movie to do with a creepy clown, I am all for. I love not just spooky clowns, just clowns in general. So coming in at my number 1 spot is Clown in a Cornfield. As I have referenced in a previous video when I gave you guys my top 5 clown movies, this one is up there as to one of my favorite clown movies of all time. It is also a slasher, which is always something I'm very for. And I like the premise of it being the entire town in on this thing. There's multiple clowns. They look cool. They use multiple weapons. It's this whole elaborate scheme. And it's just a really good movie. It adds a lot of that teen slasher vibe that you get from any of these kind of movies into it very, very well. I do always like, there is one scene in this movie that always makes me laugh, is the fact that these kids break into a house and they try to go call the police. They're kind of looking around for a phone, and they look down and they see one on the desk, and it is a rotary phone. And they have absolutely no idea how to use a rotary phone, which I find kind of funny. Not that necessarily I'm from a generation where I ever had a rotary phone, but growing up, my family did, and I was taught how to use one. So it's just kind of funny, the fact, the way technology has come, and they are not able to use that phone. But this movie was really good. The acting was really good. Obviously, the teen leads, they're as good as any other kind of teen lead, but the mayor in this movie absolutely killed it. He did such a great job. So if you're into slashers, if you're into clowns, this is definitely a movie to check out. Like I said, 8 out of 10 on this one. Highly recommend Clown in the Cornfield. There is books, too. I've realized there are 4, I believe, 3 or 4 different books that these movies are based on. So those are something I may have to pick up and check out and read, but very good movie. Go through the list real quick again. It is Godless, not very good. Good Boy, underwhelming. Haunt, very good spooky movie. Frankenstein, visually amazing, really good movie. And Clown in the Cornfield. So, thanks for watching.